I still remember when I was in elementary school. I was talking to this guy in my class. I was very ambitious back then, and so was he. I actually saw him as my competitor. And we were just casually talking, and I happened to mention that I don't want to get married or have kids. And he looked really shocked, and he responded with, well, I want to get married and I want to have kids. And I remember I didn't judge him for that, but I was really confused. And then when I went home that day, I started thinking, and I realized that the reason I didn't want to get married or have kids was because I saw that as an obstacle. I saw that as a choice between my career and a family. He didn't see it the same way. In addition, I was afraid. I knew that my mother spent 18 hours in the hospital when she was giving birth to me, and I didn't want that. I was really scared. I was in grade 7. And obviously he also didn't see that. He also didn't have that fear. So now when we look in general at childbirth, we look at it as a miracle, and I totally see that. It's pure, it's beautiful, but it's not perfect. It's not perfect because then it shouldn't be that discouraging, or I shouldn't feel that against childbirth. I should feel excited for it, but I don't. And it's not just the job. It's not just the fact that I'd have to sacrifice so much. It's also the risk. 570,000 children in the United States are born either premature or with a birth disorder. And that doesn't only mean that there's risk to the mother when having a baby, but also risk to the child himself. In addition, 50% of the population has to choose between prioritizing their career or prioritizing a family. That 50% is the female population. So I think it's time we reconsider this whole idea and bridge that inequality between women and men. We have to also try to make a safer method for us to continue on with this process of childbirth. And the safer method and the way to bridge that inequality is called Matrea. So at Matrea, safety is first. We try to give an equal start to all children. We want there to be equality or equity, if you may, between man and woman. An equal opportunity to be a good parent, an equal opportunity to thrive in your career, and the most important time to have it. That's what we want, and that's what Matrea provides. So what we actually do is we have an artificial womb. So we fertilize the egg in our artificial womb, and we grow the child for those 9 months, and then we give you a healthy newborn baby. So how does this whole process of artificial wombs work? Good question. So Matrea works to mimic the miracle of childbirth. So artificial wombs are also known as extracorporeal systems. So basically in the womb, there's a synthetic amniotic fluid. So amniotic fluid is what you have in the traditional womb, and it has nutrients and water mostly. So we have that in the Matrea womb as well. And in addition, we have 3 tubes called the cannulus tubes. So these cannulus tubes hook you up to through the umbilical cord to an oxygenator. So this oxygenator actually is the placenta, essentially. So blood flows through these cannula tubes, which have nutrients and oxygen, and then they also remove the carbon dioxide. So really, you have this system going on, so this oxygenator / placenta is able to nourish the child, the baby, through these tubes, and the amniotic fluid is able to protect the child. So in terms of the things that the body tends to create, like the mother's body tends to create when she's having a child, such as breast milk, we're actually working on creating those things with stem cells. So we don't believe in formula exactly. We think that we can do better than that by using things like stem cells to make it as authentic and mimic the miracle as best as we can. So our initial target is going to be premature children and high-risk pregnancies. So the reason for high-risk pregnancies is because, like I said, we look at using the Matrea womb when the risk is lower than the risk of the traditional conventional pregnancy. So in the terms of high-risk pregnancy, our wombs are ready to take on that risk because our risk is actually lower than the high-risk pregnancy. In terms of premature children, 450,000 premature children are born every year in the United States. Now, we think that if we can just give them a little more womb time in a Matrea womb, then we can give this child the opportunity to have an equal start. And if you think about it, 10% of children are born premature. And this is an expensive process for parents. They don't know when this is going to happen, and it can really be a burden on them. When the child does survive the childbirth, they have to put the child on ventilation, they have to give them medications, and they have to insert nutrients and fluids into the baby's veins. This is not only expensive, this is also heartbreaking that a child has to go through these struggles so early. We also make sure that the woman can provide, not only financially, but also for any daughters out there, provide that understanding. They don't have to choose. They don't have to choose between a child or a family and career. They can have it all. Choose equality. Choose the third option. Choose Matrea.